The silence was the strangest part. Not the rumors, not the headlines, not even the fact that Leonor suddenly looked completely different during that final public appearance this week. It was the silence after. Because usually, when royal stories explode online, somebody from the palace leaks something. A denial, a distraction, a carefully timed photo, something to redirect the narrative. But this time, nothing. And honestly, that's what convinced me something really ended. Not officially, not dramatically, not with some movie-style breakup statement. Just quietly, cold, invisible, the kind of ending where two people stop speaking before the world even notices. And if you watched Leonor closely during that ceremony, especially that tiny moment when she paused before entering the crowd, you could actually feel it. That emotional hesitation people have when they're trying to look normal after losing something important. Most viewers missed it. I didn't, because there's a specific type of sadness that doesn't cry. It performs, and royals become experts at performing composure. That's why I think this story is bigger than people realize. It's not just about whether Leonor had a relationship. It's about what happens when somebody raised for duty realizes that emotional pain doesn't care about titles. You can be the future Queen of Spain, and still get your heart broken in complete silence. And weirdly, I think that reality is why audiences suddenly feel closer to her than ever before. While Prince William and Kate Middleton continue representing the polished stability of the British monarchy, Leonor's story feels emotionally unfinished. Raw, human, almost dangerous for a royal institution built on control. And honestly, that unpredictability is exactly why younger audiences are becoming obsessed with her. If you're new to Leonor's story, subscribe, I post every day. Now here's my hot take: nobody in the royal media world is saying clearly enough. I don't think the relationship itself was the real problem. I think timing destroyed it. Because Leonor is entering the exact phase where her personal life stops belonging entirely to her. Every move now carries institutional consequences. Every emotional decision becomes political whether she wants it or not. That pressure changes relationships, especially young ones. And this is where I think people romanticize royal life way too much. Imagine trying to build something real with another person while your schedule is controlled, your image is monitored globally, and your future has already been decided by history itself. That's not normal dating. That's emotional survival. And honestly, the saddest part about royal relationships is that they often don't end with screaming arguments. They end with distance, less calls, less time, more protocol, more obligations, until eventually both people realize the institution is slowly winning. That's what this situation feels like to me. A slow goodbye nobody wanted to say out loud. And if I'm being real, I think Leonor understood that before anyone else did. You can see it in the way she's changed recently. Not weaker, not broken, more guarded. That's different. People keep focusing on her military discipline, but emotionally, I think the last year transformed her in ways the palace probably didn't expect. She looks more independent now. More self-aware, like somebody learning that adulthood isn't about freedom, it's about sacrifice. And maybe that's the hidden lesson behind this entire story. Sometimes growing up means realizing love alone isn't always enough. Especially when your entire future belongs to a country. Now let me say something controversial for a second. I actually think the palace may secretly prefer this ending. Not because they're cruel, not because they wanted her unhappy, but because emotionally complicated royals are harder to manage publicly. History proves this over and over again. The moment royal relationships become too emotionally visible, institutions panic. Why? Because emotions create unpredictability, and monarchies survive through predictability. That's why the British royal family became so obsessed with image control after Diana. That's why modern royal households monitor narratives constantly now. They learned the hard way that public emotion can overpower institutional authority. And honestly, Spain's monarchy has been incredibly strategic lately. Almost startup-like in the way they manage Leonor's image. Cleaner, younger, more digitally aware. It's funny actually, if Mr. Beast were running royal PR in 2026, he'd probably say the same thing most modern strategists would. Protect the main character arc. And Leonor is absolutely the main character arc right now. That means the palace has to think long-term. Future queen, future stability, future symbolism, not temporary emotional chaos. That sounds cold, but institutions think differently than normal people do. And honestly, that's probably one of the loneliest parts of Leonor's life. Knowing that even her happiest moments eventually become strategic conversations somewhere behind palace walls. Think about that for a second. Most people experience heartbreak privately. Leonor experiences it under national observation. Even silence becomes analyzed. That's why this story exploded online despite almost no official information existing. People weren't reacting to confirmed facts. They were reacting to emotional energy. The feeling that something shifted. And humans are surprisingly good at sensing emotional shifts. Especially when somebody stops smiling the same way. Now personally, I think there was one specific moment where everything changed. It wasn't during a speech. It wasn't during a formal event. It was that brief moment after the cameras moved away and Leonor's expression dropped completely for maybe 2 seconds. That's it, 2 seconds. But those tiny human cracks are what audiences connect to now in 2026. Perfect branding doesn't move people anymore. Controlled perfection feels outdated online. Audiences want emotional reality, even in royal stories. That's why Leonor keeps gaining attention globally. She still feels unrehearsed sometimes. And ironically, that may become her greatest strength as future queen. But there's another layer here people avoid discussing because it's uncomfortable. What if this goodbye actually helped her emotionally? I know that sounds harsh. But sometimes the relationships that end quietly teach you more about yourself than the ones that survive. Maybe Leonor learned that protecting her peace matters. Maybe she realized she cannot carry both emotional vulnerability and institutional responsibility the same way anymore. Maybe she discovered that some people love the person, but cannot survive the system surrounding the person. That happens constantly around fame and power. And honestly, I think this experience may harden her slightly moving forward. Not in a bad way. Just realistically. Because once somebody understands how quickly public life can consume private emotion, they stop trusting easy happiness. That changes people. And if you compare Leonor today to even a year ago, you can feel that evolution already happening. She looks more careful emotionally now. More aware. Almost like she's beginning to understand the hidden loneliness that comes with becoming symbolic to millions of people. That's the strange contradiction of royalty nobody talks about enough. The more the world loves you, the harder it becomes to belong fully to yourself. And, honestly, I think that realization is what truly ended this relationship. Not scandal, not betrayal, not drama, just reality arriving quietly. Now here's the part that stayed with me after watching all this unfold. The goodbye itself probably didn't happen in some dramatic cinematic scene people imagine. No screaming, no tears in public, no final speech. Probably just two people realizing life was pulling them in completely different directions. And one of them happened to be carrying the weight of an entire monarchy. That's heartbreaking in a very adult way. Because the older you get, the more you realize some endings don't come with closure. They come with silence. And maybe that's why this story resonates so deeply online right now. People see themselves in it. Not the royal part, not the palace part, the quiet part. The part where someone changes emotionally in front of you and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And honestly, watching Leonor lately, I think that's exactly what we're witnessing in real time. Not just a future queen growing up, but a young woman learning the painful difference between loving someone and being able to keep them.